Let's Go Green, sponsored by Airgrid, managing and operating Ireland's electricity grid for a cleaner energy future. Check out airgrid.ie for more.
Good evening and welcome to Let's Go Green, your weekly environmental and sustainability show on Midlands 103 with Zoe Ryan sitting in for Aisling O'Rourke. On tonight's show, investing in eco-fire equipment, giving up a job in corporate to build a sustainable lifestyle brand, and highlighting those behind the initiatives getting us one step closer to achieving circular economy status. A little later on, I'll be chatting to the founder of Nina's Atlantic about developing clothing items for an often forgotten about cohort and learning about who is eligible to apply for the Repack Resource Awards. But first, Offaly Fire and Rescue are pioneering a new eco-class appliance at Burr Fire Station, a major investment not only in the line of improving emergency response capability and firefighting safety, but also sustainable innovation. Joining me now to discuss the development is Andrew Flanagan, Senior Assistant Chief Fire Officer at Offaly County Council, along with Regional Director of Ace Tech Tullamore, David Crombie. Thank you both for joining me this evening.
Welcome. Thanks very much, Zoe. Great to be here.
Andrew, why is this something that Offaly Fire and Rescue were interested in introducing or investing in?
Yeah, Zoe, when we were first given the investment from the National Directorate for a new appliance, I'd done some research myself and I located our colleagues in Carlow had approached this environmental sustainability aspect of the new appliances being rolled out. So through that contact, I was able to make contact with Ace Tech. And I arranged a meeting with David and we went through some of the technologies that we could add on to this appliance which would address environmental and sustainability issues.
Now, it's been referred to as an appliance, but am I right in saying that it's the fire truck, the fire engine itself, that's what these technologies have been added or introduced to?
Yeah, that's correct. So our terminology is probably slightly different. We call our fire trucks or fire engines, we address them as appliances.
Okay.
It's just part of our terminology.
And then, David, if you can talk us through the technology. So as Andrew has said there's been these new additions. How does this then make it differ from your regular or your standard truck?
I suppose, as Andrew mentioned there, we've been working with high precision in Tullow and Carlow and Noel Howard's team there for the last few years.
Yeah.
On building a kind of a new connected, state-of-the-art, I suppose, modern type vehicle. So Noel's team down in Carlow puts a lot of the hardware together, the vehicle itself. And what we were bringing in was a fully kind of connected, intelligent platform to that. So I suppose what we mean by that is we're incorporating different technology hardware systems into the vehicle that then, I suppose, relays information up into our cloud. Part of that then as well is we've brought in sustainability features into the vehicle as well. So that helps with reducing energy, monitoring battery levels and kind of bringing that more sustainability level to the vehicle as well. So we're kind of, I suppose, taking a traditional emergency fire appliance or fire vehicle, as we say, and giving it that connected digital layer.
And you've mentioned an awful lot of technologies there, but if we just focus on the ones that are considered to be sustainable, could you talk us through the ones that have been incorporated into this new appliance?
Yeah, and I can just give it probably, Zoe, from our perspective is, you know, for us it's really exciting because of the aspects of the new appliance and more importantly its sustainability credentials. Obviously our primary responsibility is to protect communities and respond to emergencies. But we're also conscious of our responsibilities to reduce our environmental impact wherever possibly we can.
Yeah.
So probably one of the first things was addressed was this appliance or this fire engine. It's powered by HVO, which is hydrated vegetable oil. And what that does, it can reduce the life cycle carbon emissions of the appliance by up to 95% compared to the conventional diesel engines.
Right.
And while doing that, it still provides the reliability and performance which our firefighters need when responding to incidents. That's probably one of the first aspects. Another aspect which has really gone down well with our firefighters or crews is the incorporated roof-mounted solar panels. So what that does is helps to power the onboard systems, and this reduces the need for the engine idling at incidents. So if you can imagine our appliances are parked at a road-based incident or another incident.
Yeah.
The normal thing is the appliance engine would be running, which runs the blue lights, the flashing lights that you see on the appliances. But with these solar panels, this reduces the need for the engine to be idling. And those solar panels, they run the lights and so on the appliance while the vehicle is parked. And that combined with the intelligent energy management technology, which David has spoke about, this reduces the fuel consumption and emissions without affecting our operational capability. So that's really two of the main important points from us.
And Zoe, another feature that's probably worth noting there is the idle management system in these vehicles. So this is our patented EcoRun solution. We developed this in the late 10s, so around 2010, 2011, and we brought it to market for ambulances and many other vehicles as well. But this is the first time we're bringing it into the Offaly fire service. It's a really intelligent system that monitors battery levels and power consumption. These fire appliances, are doing multiple different tasks at a scene, and there's lots of energy, and we have to monitor everything that's going on. So they have the ability to complete whatever tasks are needed at the scene of a car accident or scene of a fire or something else. So we're monitoring all that, and then we shut down the vehicle when it's safe to do so. It'll then automatically restart when it needs energy and so forth. I suppose one of the key elements here is that it also reduces noise at a scene. So if you can imagine a chaotic situation of a road traffic collision, and you've occupants and you've firefighters there as well, when you take the noise and the CO2 emissions and any fumes out of that scene, we would expect it would become a calmer scene for the firefighters to communicate with those people in those very difficult and traumatic situations as well. So I think that's a big piece, and Andrew may be able to touch a little bit on what that might help help his team as well when they're at those scenes. But it's not just the CO2 emissions as well. It's also the trying to reduce some noise and create that calmer scene for the firefighters and the occupants.
Yeah, I agree totally with David from a perspective of the noise element. If you can, as David said there, we could attend incidents where it's a busy scene and we have pumps running and appliances running. It does add a bit of calmness to a scene when the appliance goes into idling mode, while still providing all the safety aspects of the blue lights and advance warning to other drivers. It does add a sense of calmness to the scene, I must say.
Yeah.
I suppose kind of what we've touched on is when you're at a scene with these complex big vehicles, they're power hungry, and you do need a system to manage all that power and try and reduce your emissions, but also have everything available.
And David, there was another element that I had wanted to ask you about. It's the digital alerting technology. Could you explain to me how that works?
Yeah, again, this is one that I suppose our core, as I'm probably saying it too many times at this stage, Zoe, is around our core vision is safety and sustainability. Yes. So this one really touches on our safety pillar as to what we're trying to do as an organisation. And what the digital alerting technology is alerting other motors or other road users or other members of the public of the fire appliance through a different mechanism. When the fire engines or the fire appliances are responding to an emergency, I suppose we're all familiar with the blue lights and the siren going, and that's been there now for years and years and years. And we've a change in landscape of how motorists are using their vehicles, the incorporation of noise cancelling headphones and kind of people being in this zone when they're driving and walking and cycling and various elements. So I suppose what we're bringing here is a different element where an alert will pop up on an app or on the phone or within the infotainment system in the car. So the infotainment system is that screen in the centre console of your vehicle. So this layer allows us to connect the fire appliance to a cloud and then reach the road users in the vicinity of that area. So as that fire appliance is coming up behind you, you're going to get an alert further up the road. And what we're looking at this again is from a road safety perspective, a public safety perspective, is giving that road user a tap on the shoulder to expect something coming soon. So what we've seen in the research has shown it is when you get that, instead of a pat on the back saying something's going to happen in the next couple of minutes, when you get, I suppose, the bang of a siren or these lights coming behind you, some road users can panic. And they can pull into the wrong lane or they can stop abruptly.
Yeah.
And what this is doing is just giving them it's giving them an extra minute or so to be aware of this. So that's when the fire appliance is coming behind them or coming into an intersection or a junction. But also, I suppose the other element is when that fire appliance is parked on the side of the road, whether that's a car accident or a fire or another scene that they're attending to, it's alerting the road users coming onto that scene earlier and allowing them to slow down and pull over. So you're creating an environment that's much safer for these firefighters. Unfortunately, there was an incident only recently there in last week where there was a car accident, and then there was a second car that came into that car accident somewhere in Ireland. And what you're trying to do is prevent, so you've got this fire appliance protecting the scene. What you don't want is a secondary collision coming into that scene, and whether that's those occupants or the firefighters. So what you have is, as I say, at the scene, a minute or two earlier, the motorists are getting alerted to a situation up ahead, and to be aware and start making decisions a little bit earlier and faster. So, and again, it's creating that public awareness of what the fabulous work Andrew, Owen, and all the team in Bar Fire are doing out there in the service or in the area that they service.
It's interesting. It almost seems futuristic, like something you'd see in some sci-fi film where they're all issued an alert, or I suppose you'd see the likes that in countries where there's, say, tornado risks, that, they'll all get an alert to their home. But how is it that it actually works? Do people need to kind of buy into something like that? Do they need to have a particular technology in their car or a particular app on their phone in order for them to receive this alert? Or is it more intuitive than that? Like, does the person have to actually do something? Or how is it that alert gets to them?
Yeah, the more mainstream and widespread way today is the Waze app. So it'll automatically come up on the Waze app, and that'll also feed into Google Maps as well.
Okay.
Within the vehicle itself, the road safety standards coming from Europe and other places down into the manufacturers is telling them that they need to enable their systems in the vehicles to receive this digital alert. So that's where it's coming from a regulation or a mandated perspective, from the car manufacturer's perspective. But, and I'll touch on a couple of things here, I suppose, but some of the car manufacturers have already gone ahead. So Skoda, for example, here in Ireland, on new cars and going forward, they will have that option available. So it'll be coming up in the Skoda vehicle. So it does vary based on year, make and model.
Right.
But what we've done is we've future-proofed this vehicle for Bar Fire, that as the mandated regulations come in on those cars going forward into the future, this vehicle is already enabled and future-proof. So the alerts will be going out immediately, but it's up to some of these car manufacturers to do that. So what you'll see is over the next year, 2-3 years, more and more of this will be a more connected, I suppose, environment, our ecosystem as well. But again, we have to wait for those other manufacturers to catch up. I suppose secondly, and what I'd like to touch on is, I have to give huge credit here to the team in Offaly Fire and Owen and Andrew. You need pioneers and you need people driving the industry. And then when you get that technology and you prove it works and you've people saying they need it and they want it and there's value to it, and then they pilot it and they push it out, it pushes the other industries to catch up. And I suppose with that, the national framework that Andrew pointed out to earlier, we're seeing over the last year or so, and it's credit to the fire services of pushing this, is that they're now standardising of elements of this within the national framework. So by default, more and more of these vehicles going out there in Ireland and around the world will have it in as a standard as well, which is fantastic. But to get there, you need someone with the solution, and you need someone to pioneer and trust that you can deliver it. So again, as I say, I give huge credit to the team in Offaly Fire of supporting us, and Carlow Fire previously the last couple of years, and there are others around the country as well, which is fantastic.
So at the moment, in order for, we'll say, a car user to get this alert, they would need, or as you say, a passerby, they would need to have actually gone in and installed and made sure that, their device is compatible and that it can receive updates for that software. But the hope would be down the line that this would just become something as standard that manufacturers of cars would need to have it built in. And when you see the cars going in for the regular services, it would be updated and made sure that it's able to receive these alerts.
100%, exactly. So the Waze app today, if people have the Waze app on their phone, it'll automatically alert them on that piece today, and then going forward, as you said, that'll come out over the next couple of years. 100%. So yeah.
And I assume, Andrew, that there's an element of training that's required for personnel at the fire stations to be introduced to how to use and to operate these new technologies.
Yeah, of course. So I suppose, before any piece of equipment or new vehicle is introduced into the operational staff, it is a critical part of the process that the training is delivered. And before this vehicle entered an operation, firefighters and borough received a comprehensive training on all the aspects of the appliance, including vehicle operation, pump systems, the onboard technology, and the safety feature and environmental features which have been added onto this appliance. And that would have been carried out on an induction day by the suppliers, High Precision Motor Products, and along with ASTEX. So our crews have been working closely with, as I said, with the vehicle manufacturer and the technology partners to ensure that they're fully familiar with and confident with the system before it goes live.
And Andrew, as David mentioned there, it does take someone to take a leap of faith when any sort of new technology is brought out to say, yes, let's try it, let's introduce it and see if it works for us. So you have taken on that leap of faith, I suppose, and saying, yeah, we're going to introduce this. As we said at the very start, you've introduced this now in Birr. Do you have plans to expand this out and introduce the equipment in other Offaly towns?
Oh, we definitely do, Zoe. We're currently looking at the Birr fleet in relation to the HVO, where we intend to, all those vehicles will now run off HVO, and that station then will become completely unsustainable features within the station. Going forward, we've just had a meeting recently with David and his colleagues where we can possibly retrofit this system onto our existing appliances. And also any new build appliances going forward.
Brilliant.
We'll be incorporating these designs into it. So definitely going forward, Zoe, we definitely have the plan to incorporate this into our appliances.
Great. And I mean, this marks a really significant step forward for Offaly Fire and Rescue Service. You're showing not only are you committed to improving your fire safety equipment, but also being more sustainable in your practices. And obviously all of that has been made possible by David and the team at AceTech, that they have been able to provide you with the technologies to make that all possible. So Andrew and David, I really appreciate you both giving your time on this evening.
You're very welcome, Zoe. Thank you.
Thanks a million. Thank you.
Still to come, a lady with the solution to a common clothing problem.
Let's go green. Sponsored by AirGrid, managing and operating Ireland's electricity grid for a cleaner energy future. Check out airgrid.ie for more.
It is Zoe Ryan bringing you Let's Go Green here with you until 8 p.m. Now, adapting a more sustainable way of living, including not buying into fast fashion, is something that can become a bit of a challenge when you embark on a journey of becoming a mother. Investing in the likes of maternity clothing, items you're going to wear for a short period of time and tend to hate the sight of once the 9 months is up, can seem very wasteful. And as is with the nature of a growing child, you are constantly purchasing the next size. This is something Antonia Gondrovia, my apologies for the mispronunciation there, founder of Nina's Atlantic, a considerable lifestyle brand whose studios are based in Tullamore, recognised and left a successful corporate career to bring through her slow fashion business. I caught up with her earlier today to discuss her product offering, including her innovative growing dungarees and rompers for children and mothers.
So I started with kids rompers because this is what I was trying to find on the market for my baby when Esther was born. And from 1 year old, it was just so easy for her to hop in and zip out. So I didn't have to worry about her plays out and about.
Yes.
But I didn't want her to wear raincoat or all the time or plastic romper, even though they are amazing, practical, but at the same time I wanted something as a first layer on skin that she could be comfy and practical at the same time, but also wouldn't irritate her skin, would be comfortable. And believe it or not, but the kids who wear the rompers, it was my experience, but also then my friends and then my customers eventually, that kids just don't want to take them off. They're so cozy, so hugging, and just because it's the first layer of skin. And for me, it was important that this is not rainwear, plastic wear. but it is actually cotton. So that was my first collection, first line, and it was quite successful because it triggered interest from other parents, and I started to get more and more orders. But then the question was, okay, since I have a studio, it was just too tempting to play around.
To expand,
expand and experiment, because mothers start to ask, can you actually make a hoodie for me? Or can you make a sweatshirt for me? Or something like that, because they saw that there's actual studio where I can be quite flexible with what we make. And I expanded to the moms. So I understood it's not product-centric brand, is lifestyle-centric. So I said, okay, what this mom needs. She needs to dress up her kid quite quickly. So she needs that comfort for her child, but at the same time, she needs comfort for herself. And it was post-COVID, so loungewear became very trendy.
Yes.
So that's when I started to experiment with some kind of hoodies and loungewear as a woman collection. And it became so popular. So basically, my customers who purchased rompers for kids came back to me and purchased the adults offerings, and it became so popular that at some point actually it overtook the
children's range.
The children offerings.
Fantastic.
Because also I learned about Irish market that we as a parents, we can spend a certain amount for kids, but we won't be dressing them hugely in brands or dressing them up fancy or spending too much money on that because they grow fast.
Yes.
And for me, it was a dilemma because I couldn't afford to make a hoodie or a sweatshirt, a set for a kid for the certain price that would be compatible with
that people were willing to pay. Yeah.
Yes, and people would be willing to pay. So for me, it wouldn't just make much sense to create an expensive piece for children that they will grow up so fast with the costs that it takes to create. So I decided to keep my collection for kids very lean. So it's only the growing dungeons and rompers. It's not the sets or other elements that I had, but only those that are growing that they can keep for multiple seasons. So then it justifies the price. Even the price is not that expensive. It's mid-market, but it justifies the price because you invest in the dungy or growing dungy. It just looks different on the child in a different age, but it can go 2 to 3, 3 to 4. So it's like skipping size.
It can span a couple of ages with it.
Exactly. And it's like extra oversized, extra roomy, but kids love it because it's so hugging. But at the same time, my daughter, she was wearing 3 years the same romper, and she just looked differently in it when she grew. But it's still, you can keep it.
And explain how that works. Is it that the straps, that you can change the length of those?
So the romper, it's the winter piece that has the hood and it's all voluptuous, and the growing dungy it's the muslin cotton which has the straps that you can adjust, but also because of the design it's so bulky that they just look as a funny chubby toddlers 2 to 3 years, and then when they grow they can actually have like a short ankle high leg, so it still looks stylish and it still looks relevant. And dungees, these growing dungees I introduced in summer because I realized that, I had a big fluctuation in seasonality because the rompers were popular with the cold season.
Absolutely.
Even though in Ireland you can wear them.
It's full year round,
sometimes you can wear fleecy. But then I introduced growing muslin dungees with summer season.
Yes.
And then I had the same dungeons for moms. So you could do the matchy sets and multiple colors. And for moms as well, why it's growing for moms? Because it's for growing tummies. So you can wear it during the maternity.
Yeah.
And then you can hop back in the postpartum, or you can just have it, as a regular fit. But I was wearing my a size UK 10 before maternity, and then it's just expands. It's muslin cotton. It's just so stretchy in the way that I was wearing it during pregnancy.
Right.
No problem. And then I didn't want to burn my clothes after pregnancy because, sometimes
you're sick
the
of them.
offerings that we have on the market sometimes, like, I don't want to see this clothes.
Yeah.
Even though these designs, they still nice, they remain relevant and they are kind of seasonless, so they don't go out of fashion because it's so quick fashion. They are kind of neutral, neutral designs. So.
And although a lot of your products there, you're saying they're ones that you have to keep them for a while. Like obviously with the women's wear, you'd hope that you would have that for some time. With the children's, there's that bit of flexibility as well in the sizing. But you do offer a pre-loved selection as well. So talk to me about the pre-loved grouping that you have.
So pre-loved, I didn't expect it would be such an interest. And I just tried, because when I have photo shoots, I say, look, guys, I have these clothes left out from the photo shoots. So the kids were already in them.
Yes.
And they are perfectly fine. Maybe there is some stain. I don't know. We went to the beach. There's some, sandy bits, but it's all fine. So if you want to take them, take them. It's just half price or whatever price it is. And it became very popular. So it was like an outlet section and then pre-loved section. And you could see actually that these clothes remain quite well maintained after wash, because I used also my daughter's rompers as a pre-loved. So I said, look, I used them for my daughter. I washed them and you can still see that they are still surviving.
They're good quality.
Yeah, they're good quality. So that was quite popular and I'm planning to keep that as well. Actually, it's good that you reminded me because I need to launch pre-loved for previous photo shoots. I haven't posted them yet. But yes, it's a good way of promoting sharing between the community. And that, we as a moms, we can share items. And then I also offered barter recently. I don't know if you've seen on Instagram. No. So I said, if you cannot afford my clothes, you can offer me something else if you are a small business. And I had a list of what I accept. Yeah. So vintage things, art, farming goods.
That's right. Yeah.
And you can't imagine. I've got the basket of courgettes.
Okay.
And tomatoes. I've got.
I like it, going back to basics of the barter system.
Yes, I've got an art painting. I've got the Sugarloaf Botanics, the candle, the wax candle, and some creams and sustainable products. So I love them because I received gifts and we exchanged
for the products. Yeah.
It's
It's interesting. So you're saying that like most of the items that are on your pre-loved, they might be just ones that they were worn once for a photo shoot. But there's also, as you say, your own children's ones. You've washed them, said, okay, they've grown out of this one, so I'm popping that up. Can the likes of people who will say have bought products from you and say, okay, my child has grown out of it, can I wash it and send it back to you and you can pop it on the pre-loved? Or is that what you tend to do, or is it just your own stuff you'll pop up?
It was just my own stuff. I was thinking about it. I think it's a great idea. It's just I need to understand better the terms and conditions because I don't have control over what they send back. And then if I commit to have a cashback or something, I would be struggling.
You nearly need to vet the items before you agree.
Exactly. And then it's so expensive, the storage and everything, when you have actual physical storage and studio, that the cost with that would have to be somehow thought through. So it's just, I had so many ideas and so many things, and people would be writing to me, why don't you do this and that and that? And it's just so much that I feel I would have more hours in a day and more people to implement those ideas. But unfortunately, as a mom of two now, I have 8 months boy now, I have to make tough choices. And one of the choices I made this month was scaling down, which is unpopular to say for the business, because it's always like scale up. Yeah. But as a sustainable, ethical business, my point was that sometimes scaling down and slowing down doesn't mean that
you're going backwards.
You are failing. It means that you have to make choices, and it has to be sustainable for you, for your mental health, for yourself first, and then you will be better positioned to serve others.
Yeah. So in what ways have you scaled back?
So in the way I took a maternity leave.
That was the start of the scaling back.
That was the start of the scale back. So I communicated to my customers that I'm doing this sale last month because for the first time I took a maternity leave. I never stopped working after leaving that maternity hospital in September because it was my high season. September is high season, so I cannot skip that. Yeah. And I was selling from the actual maternity room. The next day I gave birth. I was like, bring me my laptop. I need to fill in this order.
Yeah, the businesswoman was coming through.
Yes. And I felt like now when the lower season starts, summer, I took the maternity leave. So that was my scaling back. And I didn't focus on creating more collections and expanding. I focused on trying to focus on what worked already.
Yeah, the popular items.
The popular items.
Okay, so you're taking a little bit of a step back, but you're also, I suppose, reevaluating the business and saying what's been working well. Because as you said, there is that expectation sometimes from businesses to just keep scaling up and to keep launching new lines. But a lot of the time you could be going, if it's not broken, don't fix it. If there's something that's doing well, maybe focus on that.
Yes, exactly. And I had an inspiration from my friend who was also my business partner. And she has a floral socks, so she dyes the flowers and imprints them on the socks.
Okay.
And she sends them to me, so I have them as accessory, or in our gift boxes you can buy botanical socks. So it's actually real flower imprinted.
Yeah.
And now we have also silk masks, like sleeping masks, because I was thinking, what mom needs? Of course, she needs a good sleep.
Yes.
So you can buy a hoodie and the sleeping mask. And she told me, because I was so inspired by her studio back in Madrid and with her sustainable flower dyeing project on the clothes, that I was asking, I need more of these socks. I need more of these T-shirts. Can you provide for me? And she's like, no, I can only provide you 20 or whatever she said number was for this month, because otherwise I'll be working extra hours and I wouldn't enjoy making these socks.
That's fair enough.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, that was her scaling back, I suppose, having boundaries.
Her scaling back. Yeah. And it's just stick with me till now. And I'm so grateful that I met her, because she was showing me her priorities, that's why we are here in this self-owned business, right? To create decisions that can serve us and our family as the first place. So I was like, wow, this is very strong. And it stuck to me, with me, and trying to do the same. Because I took this decision to have an items that wouldn't perish or go out of fashion so quickly. If it's a kid's romper, if it's not selling this season, it will sell next season. So there's no attachment to a specific trend or to a specific color.
Yes, because the designs are quite plain. There's no patterns per se, so you're not dating it in that way.
Exactly. So they are not dated. And even I was surprised because Muslim dungarees, I had them 2 years ago and I was so happy with them, but I had such a little demand on them. And I was surprised, like, why nobody's buying my Muslim dungarees? I love them.
You're like, this seems like an obvious thing to get.
Exactly. Yeah. And then this year, when I started to focus more on maternity and I showed the actual usage, how I was using them when I was pregnant, how I was using them as a postpartum, it was just positioning the product in the right angle, and a lot of them sold out. So now I understand better also my audience. And as you said, they are not dating. So, there's no that stock issue whatsoever. But even if I have a piece of fabric that is left, for example, there is 1 meter left of fabric, and to make a hoodie, you need 1.2 or 1.3, so then you cannot make anything out of it. So with these fabrics, we've made letters, newborn name letters.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so you can order, for example, a romper, and my boy is Max, my son is Max, so you can have a romper and Max made from the same fabric as the romper, or colorful. Usually it's colorful because leftovers are whatever we have.
Yes,
so
mix and match.
Exactly, mix and match. And you can hang it next to the baby cot and just looks fancy. Or you can have a
decorative
baby shower. Yeah, decoration. So we started to do that. And we even had a workshop for kids from the school in Tullamore.
Oh, wow.
To create their own letters or to create their own little toys. Mm-hmm. So they were actually sewing. We had a little sewing machine. Obviously, they wouldn't use the actual sewing machines because it's dangerous for their little fingers. But we had the small sewing machines. They were supervised by parents. Mm-hmm. And they could create their little toys with leftovers that we had, because we had these little fabrics. So that was a massive success for the kids and for the parents.
Yeah. And it's another way to use that material.
Exactly. So they can take home the toy, they go happy, or they can create a dress for the doll. So maybe before Halloween, we'll do another workshop and they can do some Halloween costumes, out of leftovers. So maybe we'll do that, hoping we'll do that. But it's not like I want to do this on regular basis, but it's not like, yet ongoing.
Yeah, it's still to be decided.
Yeah, it's like some things, sometimes we are proactive. Somebody asks us to do it, so we are like, okay, we can do it. But I wouldn't say that it's already established and everything is set in stone. It's constantly evolving. Constantly testing things.
And you've mentioned there a couple of maybe ideas. I know you're scaling back, but you've mentioned about the potential workshops. What do you see next for Nina's Atlantic? What would you like to do next?
I have a couple of crazy product launches that I cannot speak about.
Sure.
Because it will be a surprise. But as I said at the beginning, that I'm focused on woman's universe and how she's evolving through maternity, pregnancy, and then being postpartum mom, what it means for a woman to be in that situation where you are not anymore with your own body, that you are not anymore yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to accommodate this need to feel that belonging, to feel that connection, that you are actually connected back to yourself again, without this hopping back culture of back to your old size or back to old you, because this will never happen. This, old you is that you are new. And I'm trying to facilitate that journey, and the products that I came up with are actually they surprised even me based on the research that I did for these type of women and their needs.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to keep introducing such products that would be like, oh, wow, I can use it as a gift, or I can use it in my hospital bag, or, that they will remain practical, comfortable, but at the same time feeling very emotionally supporting for women.
Yeah.
So that's my next kind of thing. How can I stay relevant, stay emotionally supportive on this journey of my customer? And the next journey is, okay, she's postpartum, but then she might be back to work, and how can I help there? How can I be relatable? So, yeah.
So exciting things coming.
Exciting things coming. And I am a prototype of my customer as well, because I test these things on me when my kids are growing and, with 2 pregnancies. And that's always about feedback and constantly hearing back from the customers what they want and how can I coexist with them.
Brilliant. Nina, it's been fabulous having you out in the studio today, and best of luck with your ventures for the future.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Thank you so much. I'm really excited here.
That was Antonina Goncharova, better known as Nina, founder of Nina's Atlantic, whose summer sale is still ongoing. The concept of offering clothes that can be tailored to fit your child as they grow, rather than always needing to repurchase, is luckily catching on. It's been introduced to school uniforms by some retailers in recent years, where the trouser and the skirt hems can be taken down, which is great to see. And speaking of initiatives towards a more circular economy, up next, we'll be talking about an awards aimed at recognising such projects.
Let's Go Green, sponsored by EirGrid, managing and operating Ireland's electricity grid for a cleaner energy future. Check out airgrid.ie for more.
You are listening to Let's Go Green with Zoe Ryan in for Aisling O'Rourke this evening. Now, Repack, who play a major role in ensuring packaging is collected and disposed of correctly, are calling for sustainability leaders across the Midlands to enter the 2026 Repack Resource Awards ahead of the deadline at the end this month. But who can apply, and how do you go about throwing your hat in the ring? Here to give us all the details is Niamh Kelly, Director of Marketing and Corporate Communications at Repack. Good evening, Niamh.
Good evening, Zoe. Thanks for having me on.
Niamh, tell us about the awards. What do they aim to do?
I think really they're national environmental awards and repacked together with a number of our sponsors who very generously sponsored various categories. We really want to give a platform and to highlight all of the sustainability initiatives that are happening nationwide. There's some really good work going on all around the country. And it's just to highlight that and give them a platform, and also to celebrate all those projects that are going on throughout the year, both in communities and in bigger businesses, and to really highlight those innovations or how communities come together and what kind of change we can make when we do come together and work together.
And who is it that can apply for these awards?
It's actually been very varied over the years. We were originally called the Pac-Man Awards. We have now, since last year, become the Repack Resource Awards, because what we wanted to do was to broaden who we are talking to and the types of initiatives that we are speaking with and we're going to highlight.
Okay.
So anybody from a community effort. So we've had various people like Swords Tidy Towns. We've had places in Tidy Towns in Cork. We have a lot of community initiatives, local environmental initiatives. And as I said, everything from self-employed small business to your large businesses and the type of initiatives and changes they are making to help with sustainability.
And I know that there are 13 categories, so maybe we won't rattle through them all, but if you could give us a flavour or taste of the types of categories that these organisations and groups can enter under.
Yeah, there's a lot and there's plenty for people to choose from. As I said, Zoe, I think it's really important that everybody knows we've had entries over the years from really small groups that are in a community right up to your big kind of multinationals. So there are categories for everybody to see, things like the Community Sustainability Initiative, the Environmental Education piece, reuse and refill, waste innovation. So what we want to do is everyone to look at not just recycling, but to look at how things can be reused, where refill can come in, where there is a new use for a product. I remember a few years ago we had an entry whereby they were using old sails and they made them into rucksacks. So there's fantastic creativity, but it just gives new life to either items that may be seen as no, they're of no use anymore, but also how well we look at what we have and value the resources that are there.
And when I was looking through the categories, one of the ones that caught my eye was Best Deposit Return Initiative, because obviously the deposit return is something that, you know, it's gained a lot of traction in recent years in the wake of it being introduced. And we're seeing that a lot of different community groups using it and availing of it in really clever ways. Like I know the likes of, say, local Boy Scout groups were going around and collecting bottles at the likes of festivals to put the money that they collected up towards getting resources for their club. So we're seeing really initiative things like that. But even if we just look at the likes of your basic businesses, that there's offices and there's people, and having a bin put in place where they can say, okay, well, if you don't want to go through the hassle of bringing this bottle back to your house, pop it in here. And we might even put it towards the likes of buying sweets of a Friday for the office. So there is some really initiative things being done by people for that deposit returns.
Oh, there is. We've heard some great stories over the last couple of years, and through this category, as you said, Zoe, there's some really good initiatives that have come in. We had Meath Camogie that have gone to Electric Picnic, and they have made a huge amount of money by going into the various campsites and collecting all the empty bottles and cans. We heard of Down Syndrome Ireland, who have really been very good in terms of fundraising. And I believe that also Return have an official charity, Return for Children, which is an amalgamation of 6 children's charities who benefit from everything that's collected as well, where these are implemented across Crow Park or Thomond Park. But then you've the other side of the coin, where I know our local GAA club have actually put in a reverse vending machine, and all of the local people who want to donate, it's a way of fundraising for the local GAA club. So there's a real, you know, kind of from something really large to something really small, but at the end of the day, it means that the bottles and cans are collected. We get to recycle more, and they're not thrown on the ground. They're not thrown into rubbish. So it's a win-win.
If people are listening and they're thinking, yeah, I think that I would be interested in applying and availing underneath one of the categories, what should people be including in their submissions when they're applying to you?
It's the basics of information, really, Zoe. It's, we don't expect a kind of a professionally designed entry. We really want to know what you've done, how you've gone about it, and then to actually show what the achievements are. So really, it's putting information on when it started, what you've achieved to date, and what you hope to achieve in time. And that gives us kind of a timeline or an overview picture of where you're at. But there is no one single way. And I would really encourage people to go onto the site, repack.ie/resource awards. Have a look at what's on the site. There is a template there, so that will give you a little bit of background information. And we're also hoping to put up some previous case studies. So it'll give an indication to people, okay, that's the kind of information they're looking for. It is very simple, as much information as possible. But yeah, we'd be delighted to hear from anybody. And if anyone has any additional questions, please feel free to get in contact with us.
And Niamh, why is it that you would say to people to apply? What's the incentive? What will they gain from a win?
I think this is National Environmental Awards, and I think part of what we see, and I think we see it in climate change, and even over the last, this summer, we've all seen the wildfires, we've seen heat across Europe. There are definitely changes in climate. So if everybody can do their own little bit, it will make a really big difference. I think people believe that individually they can't make a difference. But we have seen so many entries over the years from 4 or 5 people who got together and made a really big difference and did something in their community. We want to be able to highlight and celebrate that and show what can be done. Often it can turn into a business. Often it can turn into a fundraising opportunity. But I think overall we have to look at collectively in Ireland saying, okay, this is our environment, this is our community. How do we protect it and how do we value our resources? And we want to champion the people that do that.
And it is worth noting that it is free entry, so you've nothing to lose by applying, but you potentially have a lot to gain by applying.
I think you do. Again, it is a spotlight. I do think there's a hesitation in entering.
Okay.
Maybe it's a case of people don't think, their initiative may be worthy enough. But I guarantee you there's a lot of small community initiatives that are really, really worthy of highlighting. And I think when people are making the effort, when they're showing initiative in terms of sustainability or waste reduction or education, that's always a huge plus. So please let us know and we will, of course, review the entries.
So the takeaway message really is don't be deterred by the thought of going, oh, I don't know who else is going to be applying and maybe a really big business is going to go up against me and how could we ever compare? If you're in any way inclined, if you're not in, you can't win. So get your entry in because you never know, as you said, it might be as a standout one of the lot.
Absolutely. And if I could even give you a small example, Zoe, a few years ago, the Aran Islands won for their whole waste recovery operation and how they do their recycling.
Okay.
And it started off with 2 people. And then it spread to the rest of the community. So please don't be put off. Don't think that your initiative, if there's innovation and there's a community spirit and it makes a difference in the community, it's always worthy about telling people about it.
Absolutely. And as you said, and it's something that we say time and time again on this show, is that people think it has to be big grand gestures and that if everybody doesn't buy into it, it's not making any difference. But as has been proven, it's the small gestures and everybody can make an individual difference by making small changes. Niamh, thanks a million for taking my call to discuss this.
Thank you very much, Zoe.
And the deadline for entries is this day next week, August 31st. So you still have time to get those applications in. And for more information, you can see repack.ie. Now, I'm covering our weekend magazine show Saturday Focus at the moment. And at the weekend just gone, I looked into the Recycle at Boot scheme, which I gave myself a go at afterwards. And I was pleasantly surprised how easy the whole experience was to get €5 worth of Advantage Card points for items I was essentially hoarding at home, ones I just didn't know what to do do with, because they're meant to be for items like, you know, beauty and toiletry items that they're hard to dispose of. So sometimes, you know, you look at them and go, well, I know they don't go into the recycling bin, but I don't exactly know what to do with them. The likes of your mascara tubes and your toothpaste tubes. So I just thought it was a brilliant idea that I essentially was getting free money for these items that I was going to throw out or doing nothing with. So I would recommend listening back to that interview on the on-demand section of our website, or search Saturday Focus on your preferred podcast platform and give it a go yourself. Why not? As I said, I was pleasantly surprised at how easy it was to do. But that's all I have time for tonight. Aisling will be back on hosting duties next Monday night, and I'll be filling in the hot seat once again for Sally Ann on Saturday morning. Up next, it's Country Roads with Joe Cooney.